Hi, Bridge students. It's Teacher Laura. This is the third video in the What is Career and College Readiness series. And the last assignment you did had to do with our reading standards. Right before that last assignment, I went over all of the different reading standards that are required for college and career readiness. And then you all did an assignment in which you practiced analytical reading. So I did correct many of your work that was turned in. Some of you have not turned this in yet. If you have not, please go in and do this assignment and make sure to turn it in on our Google Classroom. So we will be moving forward and talking about writing standards. So these are the writing standards for college and career readiness. The first one says to write a claim with reasoning and evidence. So in other words, make an argument or make a point and then back up that point with some kind of evidence. Usually it's evidence from a study or evidence from another author or evidence from a book or piece of writing. And you would use quotes or you would paraphrase, meaning say the same thing in your own words to support your claim. The other type of writing that you will be doing in college and career readiness is informative texts. So usually this means like a report. You might be just giving an informational report about a topic, or writing a newspaper article, or writing a review of some product. So anything of that sort would be informative, meaning you're informing the reader about the topic. Next, you'll be writing narratives of real or imagined events. Okay, so a narrative means like a story. And those stories can be real, like maybe you would tell a story of something that happened to you in your life, or they might be imagined. You might create a story from scratch in which a particular character encounters some problems along the way, and then that problem gets resolved in the end. Next, writing for task, purpose, and audience. So basically, this just means learning how to write appropriately for the particular audience or purpose that you're writing for. So if you were writing for, say, a comedy act, your writing is going to be much different than your writing would be for a business proposal that you would give in front of a board of directors at a business, and you wanted to present a new idea or present what your department has been doing or plans to do. Those two types of writing are going to be tailored for the kind of audience that it's intended for. Next, write using planning, editing, and revising. So this is something that we are going to use a lot, since part of your revising is revising your grammar and word usage, which for somebody learning English as a second language, it happens all the time, right, in your writing. So does it mean that you can't write an essay? No. You know what to put in the essay. You know how to structure the essay. You can reason and support your reasoning with arguments. You can do all of the things required for a scholarly piece of writing. You just need to revise, right? You need to correct your spelling errors or your grammar errors or your word choice errors. It does not mean that you're not capable of writing an essay. All right, next one. Write using technology. that is something that we cannot avoid at this point in time. You have to use technology now in order to write because it's the only way I can get your work, right? So you guys are using Google Slides, you're using Google Docs. Later, we're going to use Google Sheets. We're going to be using all kinds of technology in order to write. So, oops. Next, writing research papers. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the informative texts. A research paper is an informative text. It's a particular kind of informative text in which you actually have to look up a bunch of information about a particular topic and then write about everything you learned about that topic and organize it and make it clear. Next, write using print and digital sources. So this just means you're going to be looking up other pieces of writing digitally. So you're going to Google information, and you might also look information up in a book that you find at a library. Or the textbook that you took home for this class. Okay, so both print and digital sources, although it's becoming more and more frequent that people mainly use digital sources because now you can look up textbooks online as well. You don't have to have a hard copy of things. So, but I think what they mean by print and digital is some people write things only on the internet, and other print sources were first printed in a book and then they were posted on the internet. So basically you want to have kind of a combination of those two sources when you're using evidence. Next, write analyses using literary evidence. So an analysis means you are picking apart a piece of writing to look at it for its techniques. So, for example, if an author is writing a scary story, then that author is going to use techniques to make that story more scary. The author is going to choose words that make everything seem creepy and scary and make you nervous, put you on edge. Not just choices of words, but also maybe the kinds of characters that are written into the story, or the way those characters speak to each other, or even the way that the story is written, something surprising happens all of a sudden. So there's a lot of literary devices that can be used, and as a writer, you might analyze a piece of writing and say, well, this author uses language or word choice to support mood. He uses character description to support the scary mood. He uses language to support a scary mood, or even the structure of the writing, because maybe all of a sudden something happens suddenly in the writing. And the way that it was written just makes it surprising. And that is the last one for writing standards. So let's go to the next screen. This is activity number 3. It says practice analytical writing. And the topic is, should schools reopen before there is a vaccine for COVID? Yes or no? So you're going to make an argument, and it can't be both yes and no. It can't be, oh, they're both good answers. No, you have to pick one or the other. So if you choose yes, then your argument is going to be, oops, I can't type in here. This is my, I'll just have to verbally say it. Your argument is going to be, I believe schools should reopen before there is a vaccine for COVID. Okay, that would be your argument. And then you might say, because socially, people are becoming isolated and people's mental health is declining. So that might be your reasoning or your argument, because mental health is declining. And then your reasoning might be, I keep clicking, getting out of that page. Your reasoning might be a quote from a scientist who did a study on mental health of people who are stuck at home for long periods of time. Okay, you might talk about the detrimental effects that isolation and depression have on people. Okay, and then you're going to do an internet, search to find that article that supports that. And finally, you're going to cite your sources. Or you could take the other side. You could say, no, I don't believe schools should reopen before there is a vaccine for COVID, because it would increase the spread of COVID and more people would die. And then your reasoning could be, even though most people wouldn't die from COVID because they're healthy, there are people in the population that, because of their age or their health, they might catch it and die. And it could be somebody close to you or close to somebody you know, and we would want to protect them. So that would be your reasoning. And then the evidence, you would need to do an internet search and find an article that supports that, and find a good quote from that article and put it under evidence. And then lastly, put the place where you found the web address where you found your information. All right, so this is activity number 3. So you're going to close out this video and you're going to click on the document that has activity 3, practical analytical writing, and you're going to type directly into it. And don't forget, when you're finished, to turn it in. You have to click the turn in button. If you don't do that, I won't see it and I won't be able to give you my feedback or my comments. All right, great. We'll see you in the next video.